It was a quiet morning in the village of Bethany. The sun rose gently over the hills, casting golden light across the fields. But inside one home, the air was heavy with worry. Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, lay sick, his breathing shallow, his body weak. The sisters did all they could. Martha wiped the sweat from his forehead, while Mary prayed with trembling hands. They had sent for Jesus, their friend, their teacher, the one they believed could heal him. "Tell him the one you love is sick," they said, and they waited. Meanwhile, miles away, Jesus walked with his disciples. When the message reached him, he did not hurry. He looked up and said, "This sickness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, that the Son of Man may be glorified through it." Days passed. In Bethany, Lazarus grew worse. Then, quietly, he died. The house filled with mourning. Neighbors and friends came to comfort the sisters. Mary wept beside her brother's body, her heart broken. Martha stood outside, scanning the road, still hoping he would come. And on the fourth day, Jesus did. When Martha saw him approaching the village, she ran to meet him. Her voice shook as she said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." But still, she believed. "I know," she said, "that even now, God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus looked into her eyes and said, "Your brother will rise again." "I know he will," Martha answered, "in the resurrection on the last day." Then Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" Martha nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, Lord, I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into the world." Then she ran back to the house. "The teacher is here," she whispered to Mary, "and he's asking for you." Mary rose at once. Her heart pounding, she ran to him. When she saw him, she fell at his feet, sobbing, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus saw her grief. He looked at those who mourned. Their cries pierced the air, and he wept. Then, with deep sorrow in his voice, he said, "Take me to him." They led him to the tomb, carved into stone, sealed with a heavy rock. Mourners stood still. The silence was thick. Jesus stepped forward and said, "Roll the stone away." Martha hesitated. "Lord," she said gently, "by now the smell will be terrible. He's been dead 4 days." Jesus turned to her and said, "Did I not tell you, if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" The crowd held its breath. The stone was rolled away. Darkness gaped behind it, a silence so deep, it felt like time itself had paused. Jesus stepped closer to the tomb, his eyes lifted toward the heavens, and with a voice full of power and tenderness, he prayed, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I say this for the sake of those standing here, that they may believe you sent me." Then he called out, "Lazarus, come forth." The words rang out like thunder. Hearts stopped, eyes widened, the wind held still, and then from the shadows of the tomb, movement. A figure emerged, wrapped in grave clothes, his face covered in linen, his hands and feet bound. Gasps filled the air. Lazarus was alive. "Unbind him," Jesus said, "and let him go." Mary wept again, but now with joy. Martha fell to her knees in awe. The mourners stood speechless, their sorrow swallowed up in wonder. The man they buried was walking. In that moment many believed, for who else could command death itself and be obeyed? This was no ordinary teacher, no mere prophet. This was the resurrection and the life, and through the tears, the whispers spread like wildfire. "He raised Lazarus. Surely this is the Son of God."